All right, welcome everyone to the NVC 14 Championships. My name is Brad Bernthal. I am the faculty director of the New Venture Challenge, and it's my honor to host tonight's championships. The NVC does three things. First, we collapse the campus. We understand that entrepreneurship is a team sport, and we bring together individuals from all corners of the CU campus to build new things. Second, we connect the town and gown. We mobilize a world-class startup scene here in Boulder, Denver, throughout the Front Range. We mobilize them to support the next generation of entrepreneurs coming off of a world-class research university campus. And third, fun entrepreneurship is hard. We inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs. NVC 14, I know what you're thinking. Did I oversleep an entire year? Did I miss NVC 13? And the answer to that is no. Like a fine high-rise building, the New Venture Challenge just skipped right from 12 onto 14. We could not risk the jinx of the number 13 this year. So welcome to NVC 14. This season started last October. We have had 150 companies that have participated in some form or fashion this year. 70 companies competed. Then we reached 36 companies at the semifinals. I'm proud that every company that wanted to compete this year in the NVC, they got the chance to pitch their idea. They got their chance to get feedback from judges. This is important in any year, but especially this year. The NVC has been scaffolding that has been one of the more meaningful parts of many people's experiences on campus this year. I don't know if it's going to be our best year. It might, but I'll tell you this, NVC 14 is our most important year in the history of the New Venture Challenge. We're now down to 6 championship companies. Tonight, the judges are going to give away $150,000. $100,000 cash, and there will be 2 investment offers of $25,000 going out to tonight's companies. So $150,000 going out the door, or at least out the Zoom room at some point this evening. The NVC is a celebration of entrepreneurship at CU, and it's a celebration of the Boulder emerging company startup community. Speaking for myself, man, do we need community right now? In this world, life is a series of problems and challenges. Some problems pick us, other challenges we get to pick. There's been no shortage of problems that have picked us over the past 13 months. Many of us in the CU and the Boulder community are still reeling from multiple blows. I want to take a moment and ask you to reflect on what we've lost over the last year, and take a moment to be grateful for those heroes that have emerged in our lives in ways big and small over the past year as well. Thank you. Tonight, you are going to meet entrepreneurs who have tackled some remarkable challenges that they've chosen. They've invested their best efforts to solve hard problems. Of course, in the world of entrepreneurship, no one goes it alone. This year especially, we have picked each other up through the NVC. The New Venture Challenge is hosted within our Research and Innovation Office on campus, led by Vice Chancellor Terry Fees. And to highlight the miracle that is the New Venture Challenge, the cross-campus miracle that is, I'd like to welcome our Director of the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Initiative within the Rio office. She has put in a real special effort to make this year happen. Please help me welcome Chris Gustafson. Chris?
Thank you, Brad. Hello, everybody. Let me share my screen. I'd love to start with a few words of appreciation here, and welcome tonight. On the vein of heroes, we definitely have a lot of those that have contributed to our NVC 14 program. First and foremost, I would like to thank Terry Fees, as Brad mentioned, Vice Chancellor of Research and Innovation on the CU campus. She works tirelessly to set the vision and the tone of entrepreneurship and innovation on this campus. Thank you, Terry. Next up, I'd love to thank our cross-campus NVC team. This is full of heroes, faculty, staff partners across the campus, all ends of campus who have worked tirelessly to make this season happen. And I'd also like to recognize our faculty partners who teach innovation every day. Many of their teams are showing up in championships tonight. Next up, thank you to our NVC advisory board. We've got 6 amazing members on this team. We started this board early 2020. Get amazing insights from this crew, and it really helps to connect town and gown and help set our strategy. Next up, NVC Cohort Leads. NVC has a really long history of student leadership. These 10 individuals have helped to shape the competition experience for our teams. They've nurtured teams, they've inspired teams, and they've kept the wheels on the tracks. Thank you to the leads. And finally, big shout out to our NVC partners. As Brad said, this is one of our most formidable years. We have record donations from this crew, and we're excited to see that prize money go out to our teams tonight. So with that, Brad, I will pass it back to you to introduce to the judges and see how that prize money gets allocated. Thank you, everybody.
Many thanks, Chris. And I'll just add that I'd be remiss not to say, if you're interested in supporting NVC 15 next year, please reach out to us following tonight's event. Here's where we're going. First, we've got 6 companies that are going to be presenting, 6 championship companies. Each company will have a 5-minute video in which you're going to learn about what they're working on, followed by 5 minutes of question and answer with our expert panel of judges. While our judges make notes in between the companies, we'll have some transitions that highlight some of the things going on here at CU. After each of the 6 companies pitch, and while the judges deliberate, we will have our Audience Choice Awards. At this point, we're going to showcase to you some of the additional companies that are really onto interesting work through the New Venture Challenge, and you will pick your favorite as part of the audience choice. Then you'll meet some of the companies. When the judges come back, we will be announcing our winners. As I've mentioned, $150,000 going out the Zoom room tonight, and each of tonight's companies will be taking away a minimum of $10,000. So truly no losers in the room tonight. Now let's meet our judges. Farhan, this is your first time doing this. You don't know that I've got a World Wrestling alter ego for your intro ready. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. First judge is a CU engineering alumna who is an expert in deep technology. She spent 2 decades in the semiconductor industry, including work with multiple startups. In 2019, she was named one of the Power List 100 by Corporate Global Venturing, a list of the 100 top leaders in the corporate venture world. Today, she's a founding member and managing director of Lamb Capital. Please help me welcome back to CU, Farhan Nouri.
Thank you.
Farhan, if you had been here at a time in which the NVC existed at CU, would you have participated in it as a student?
I'd like to say yes, but I'm not sure I would have been smart enough, honestly.
Well, you've only got like what, 30 patents or 100 patents on your name?
I look at some of what I read for this competition, and I was like, I was not that smart when I was back then.
Awesome to have you with us.
Decades ago. Yeah.
Thank you for joining.
Thanks.
Second judge is an expert in the area of social and impact entrepreneurship. She previously worked on the social finance team at JP Morgan. Today, she invests in the areas of workforce development, economic opportunity, and the circular economy. She is a director at Zoma Capital. Please welcome Laura Pinney. Laura, welcome to the NVC. Have you ever come off a top rope before? Do you feel like you should right now?
I feel like I should. Absolutely. I'm pumped. That was incredible, Brad. Best intro I've ever gotten.
Thank you for being here. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight. Our third judge is the first NVC alum to return to judge the NVC Championships. She has a background in telecommunications, launched her startup as a participant, in the New Venture Challenge. Today, she is the CEO of PageDip, a company that solves problems for dynamic content creation. Please welcome back Sarus Hawkins.
Love the voice. I just have to say, Brad, I can remember when we were here doing NVC many years ago, and the prize was gift cards. So a lot has changed since then, but I will say our very first investor invested in the company at that point, and he's still on our board. So NVC definitely changes the course of your startup. So I'm excited for all the companies tonight.
Can we give a shout out to who the investor is?
Darren Kelly.
DK, if you're out there, many thanks for doing that. Sarus, great to have you back. Tonight's final judge is formerly an attorney. He helped co-found the Foundry Group, a venture capital firm out of Boulder. He co-taught venture capital with me on campus in Unusual Punishment for 10 long years. Along with Brad Feld, co-authored the book on venture capital, Venture Deals. Today, he is closely involved with criminal justice reform work right here in Colorado. He has been an NVC Championships judge for over a decade. Tonight is his final night as NVC Championships judge. Please help me welcome back my friend, Jason Mendelson.
Gonna miss that intro, buddy. Every year. Thank you. It's great to be
Jason,
here.
we're gonna be sitting on a porch someday. We're gonna miss this, you know.
I'm gonna miss it. I certainly am, but I can't. It's time. When it's time to go, it's time to go, and the next generation is ready. When we got people from the NVC returning to be championship judges, that's when you know maybe I've been around here too long. But I am really looking forward to tonight.
Well, I love the way that we've got this structured. So for those of you watching at home, we've got Farhan, experience in deep technology, Laura, experience in social entrepreneurship and impact investing, Sarus, an operator, came through the NVC, has built her own company along with her team, and Jason, an investor who's been around the NVC and the world of venture capital a long time. This is really a great panel. Many thanks to each of you for being here. Let's get this thing underway. Tonight's first team develops intelligent planning tools to make the process of heavy lift planning and crane selection faster, safer, and more accurate. Yes, it may be a heavy lift, but that lift just got a little bit lighter thanks to this company, Sarus. Dustin Ramsey and team, welcome to the championships.
Thanks for that introduction, Brad. My name's Dustin. I'm joined here with my partners in crime, Linda Palacios, Satyam Shukla. We're super excited to be here. That's all I'm going to say. Let's see the pitch.
All right, let's see it, Brian. Play the pitch, please.
When I was 2 years old, my dad put me in the operator's seat of a 300-ton crawler crane. Growing up, I have countless memories of visiting construction sites and watching heavy equipment at work. Thanks to my dad, I've always loved heavy construction. I've also been acutely aware of the risks in this industry. When he was my age, my dad was seriously injured in a construction accident. The difference of just a few feet would have cost him his life. At Sarus, we want to make every day on the job site safer than the one before, and we're starting with the biggest equipment out there. From manufacturing to oil and gas, heavy lifting is a fundamental part of our civilized world. As long as we build heavy things, we will need cranes to move them around. Heavy lifting is also inherently dangerous. Between 2011 and 2017, 297 people lost their lives as a result of crane accidents. Not only is that 297 tragic losses, but it has real financial implications. A fatal crane accident costs a minimum of $500,000, and it's not unusual for this to go into the millions, tens, or even hundreds of millions of dollars. This doesn't take into account a domino effect of costs incurred to a job due to an accident or simply delays due to poor planning. To understand why this keeps happening, let's take a look at the equipment used before a crane even comes on site. You may have seen the rangefinder on the golf course. The file folders are filled with crane lift charts and load specifications. These tools are par for the course when it comes to planning out a major lift, pun intended. Aside from these tools, intuition and eyeballing are still commonly used in this industry, where miscalculations can lead to hundreds of thousands in lost time. Jess is a lifting supervisor at a large construction company. It's her responsibility to take into account every detail of a major lift and compile these into a lift plan. She tediously fills out these documents and must do so perfectly, as they will be shared with regulatory bodies, engineers, and operators. With hundreds of tons of steel going into the air, a combination of consumer sporting equipment and eyeballing is not going to cut it. We built Jess the right tool for the job. Our three-dimensional connected rangefinder lets Jess precisely measure all the critical dimensions of a major lift. She can measure lift height, lift radius, and obstacle clearance. She can even know the maximum payload that one of her cranes can lift for a given site. After taking these measurements, she can upload them to her tablet, where our software provides her custom crane recommendations based on what she has in inventory. Her lift plan can be well underway before she even gets back to the office. We've been getting out of the building and talking to customers. To date, we've talked to over 70 industry stakeholders in long-form in-person interviews. We've talked to construction companies, lifting specialists, and insurance companies. We have 2 letters of intent from early adopters who are excited to trial our prototype. Our pricing is based on an as-a-service model, charging $7,500 annually for our hardware and our software. However, we don't just create value for lifting contractors. In the same way that e-commerce has capitalized on sponsored results, we plan to offer sponsored results for crane manufacturers in our recommendation engine, putting their equipment at the top of our list. So where are we now? We've built a functional hardware prototype and filed a provisional patent on this IP. By this fall, we're going to put hardened prototypes into the hands of our early adopters and get their feedback. After this, we'll be ready to scale with partnerships where we've already laid the groundwork with major crane manufacturers and training schools. We could not be where we are today without the help of our awesome mentors. These academic and industry leaders have helped us navigate all the business and technical challenges with starting this company. And my favorite slide. I am so honored to be working with 2 incredibly ambitious and enthusiastic individuals. We have years of experience in industry, and Linda Palacios and I will be graduating in May with our degrees in electrical and computer engineering. We are thrilled to be joining Satyam Shukla working full-time on this company. If we win this competition, we will have the funding to put those prototypes into the hands of our early adopters. With that, I invite you to join us in our mission of making heavy lifting smarter, faster, and safer. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dustin. I'm going to now invite the judges to unmute themselves and join. A reminder that with 1 minute remaining, we'll give you that warning. Judges, over to you.
Hey, Laura, do you want to start?
Yeah, Dustin, Satcham, Linda, great job and congrats on all the progress to date. First question, 2 parts. So first, tell us a bit about the prototype. How sound is the technology today? And secondly, how easily can this technology be copied by a competitor?
Absolutely. So the first part of your question, the prototype right now, the hardware side of it is complete. It's functional. We're testing it. It works really well. And the second part of your question, how easily can this be copied? We've addressed a lot of the companies that we've identified as, number 1 person to copy this. And they've told us that this isn't the kind of issue that they are focused on right now. They're looking towards things like automation. And this is the kind of thing they look for external partners, mostly startups, to come up with, because it's a little more risky. It's innovative. So they look externally for that, and that opens a lot of doors for partnerships. And these are the conversations that we've already started having.
So what does it cost on average to bring a crane? And, if you think about your ideal customer, they're bringing a crane in, how much are they paying for that crane over the life of the project?
It's highly dependent on the type of lift. It can range anywhere from $10,000 to hundreds of millions of dollars, depending on what's happening.
Okay, so given that, why have you started with a set fee of $7,500 annually? And you know, it seems like you have a lot of friction to somebody who's going to use it once for $10,000. It basically doubles the price of the crane, and it seems ridiculously cheap for somebody that's going to have a bigger project. Did you consider other pricing models? Because when I look at it, I think, wow, $7,500 for saving lives on a $100 million project and saving time and having, you know, no liability. I'm sure your liability insurance goes down. Tell me about what other pricing models you considered before the one you currently have.
Certainly. So the other pricing model that we're looking at is, I'll talk about two of them. One of them is based on a sales value add, so helping crane companies sell more jobs faster because they can plan more efficiently. And this is something that we need more data from actual user feedback before we can really hone that in. And then the other pricing model is through insurance companies. And this is something that we also need to get that data from the field back before we hone it in. Whereas the safety value proposition is much more cut and dried. So that's where we ended up on that number. But I'd agree with you. Yeah, it's a very wide variety of costs.
And is it number of licenses? I mean, it's a yearly subscription model, correct? So how many hardware pieces? They can use it as many times as they want, just one hardware?
Yeah, so we think of this as something that one sales representative would have in their truck going around and doing these estimations. We think our pricing model is based on servicing about 30 cranes in a fleet. So depending on the crane company, they could have, 10 plus of these systems in use. So you're looking at about a $75,000 annual customer value.
What's the next person that you'd like to add to the team and why?
Certainly. So we are really interested in somebody with more experience in marketing. We're all engineers. We've learned business on the fly. So we would love somebody who has targeted marketing experience.
1 minute left.
Okay, and has grown a company like this, business to business company.
What's your bill of materials for your hardware? What does it cost you to get one of those out?
About $1,000.
Can you speak to the logos that you had at the end with Amazon and Xilinx? What do they represent?
Those are our backgrounds. So I have previously worked at Xilinx. Linda has previously worked at Amazon. Satyam has a background in the defense space with the Indian Air Force.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the customer feedback, have you guys made any key pivots to date?
Definitely. So I'll make it quick. Originally, we were pursuing automation, and we realized that the industry is not ready for this. There's a cultural barrier to be crossed in construction before we take an operator out of the seat of a crane. It's a big jump. So that's why we pivoted to the lift planning tool. And it lays the groundwork for those longer vision technologies.
Great. Time's up.
All right, please join me at home with the flamingo and giving a woo woo up for Dustin and Sarus. That was great, guys. Thank you. All right, while the judges make a few notes, and we'll give them a minute to capture their feedback. One of our sponsors from early days of the NVC, Dan Caruso, comes to me every year and is like, we want to see big companies coming out of the New Venture Challenge, that people are building something special. And we believe that this is happening, but increasingly over the last 12 months, we're seeing the proof in the pudding. Former NVC champion Devin Tavona and Sam Felsenthal, who also participated in the NVC, were part of a company, Devin being the co-founder, called PANA. Devin's company back in the day won the New Venture Challenge. He and his co-founder Leanne took that into Techstars. They pivoted a few times, became a travel company, and I am delighted to report that last month, PANA sold to a public company, Coupa, It's a $20 billion public company that they sold to. This was a happy exit. I just talked to Devin earlier today. Big ups to Devin. That's one Where Are They Now episode. And now I'd like to bring in Philip Tainton, because there are other companies who have come through the NVC that are doing some really interesting things and have some big swings out there. Philip, you're with Melinda. You and your co-founder, Chris, are building a company around a better way to mold plastic that's lighter, cheaper, and more green, right? Less environmentally harmful. You guys won the New Venture Challenge. You went on to catalyze CU, by the way, taking applications now for this summer, the CU Accelerator Program. If you guys are looking for a next step, that's out there. Wind us forward. Where is Melinda now, Philip?
Sure. So it's been an interesting journey for us the last 7 years or so since we graduated from the New Venture Challenge. I think everybody who goes through, whether you win or place or whatever level you participate, I think you're kind of an NVC graduate. And so for us, coming out of the chemistry department and being a bit of an R&D play, it's been a bit different of a journey. We delayed kind of our access to venture capital because we had some more basic science development to do, and we've been able to take advantage of some government grants and so forth along the way. So to date, we've raised about $6 million, and about 4 of that has been non-dilutive government grants.
Employees?
Employees, we're about 8 full-time now. We're looking to raise our next, or close our next round in the fall. And so we should be kind of doubling our size shortly thereafter.
So up and to the right, quickly, we've only got about 30 seconds left. What product are you putting the better plastic of Melinda into?
The first area it's going to is actually sporting goods. And unfortunately, I can't say specifically what product, although I think Brad might know. And so you'll actually, within a few years, hopefully be seeing our logo on sporting goods products, but that's just the beginning. We've got automotive and aerospace and wind all coming down the pipe.
Love it. Philip, awesome to have you back. Thank you for giving us the update. Looking forward to celebrate what you, Chris, and the other members of the team accomplish in the years ahead.
Thanks for the leg up.
Philip, be well. All right. Next team number 2. Introductory voice. You want influence? Tonight's second championship team has the answer. This company works with brands to coordinate large-scale LGBTQ influencer marketing campaigns across platforms like TikTok and Instagram. The company is LGBT50. Thomas Savage, welcome to the NVC Championships. How are you?
I'm doing great, Brad. Thank you for the intro.
How'd you guys get into the influencer world?
Well, it started out as like, we started out as an e-commerce store, and this was around the time when TikTok was blowing up. So really, that was the initial idea. We saw TikTok was blowing up and we were like, oh, we want to kind of jump into this. So that was the initial start.
Ready to roll?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm also here with Gabe and Jose, the other 2 co-founders, and we'll let the pitch video do the talking now.
Love it. Brian, would you please roll the video?
Brands that help them achieve their marketing goals by coordinating large-scale influencer marketing campaigns across TikTok and Instagram. We are 3 college kids who bootstrapped our company, a software-enabled influencer marketing agency with proven traction and financial success. I'm just going to be frank with you guys. Most companies suck at influencer marketing, and it's not their fault. It's hard to have an influencer marketing presence at scale. Companies waste time and money addressing an audience through a platform they don't understand while trying to work with influencers who they haven't built trust with. Here's the solution. We coordinate campaigns for our clients from start to finish, enabling them to work with 20+ unique influencers from our network weekly while we take care of their influencer marketing needs. LGBT50 works on a performance-based payment structure, similar to Facebook ads, where brands only pay for the views they receive. This mitigates the risk when running large-scale influencer marketing campaigns, ensuring a mutual benefit for both brands and influencers when it comes to payment. It starts with understanding the brand's needs. Whether that's sales, app downloads, or brand awareness, LGBT50 is here to meet a company's unique goals. From there, we utilize our market expertise to develop unique content ideas for each influencer. We then connect with our influencers who create content that fits their page and the brand's advertising goals. Here are 3 different influencers that have very different audiences. First, we have an influencer whose page revolves around trendy videos. Next, we have an influencer whose page is based around hairstyling. And lastly, we have an influencer who uses a comedic approach in his videos.
In less than a year of operation, our company has generated $227,000 in gross revenue with a 45% profit margin. We wanted to give back to the community, so we decided to set aside $4,000 to donate to LGBT charities such as Kaleidoscope Trust. This money was provided by our charity-based e-commerce store, where we donate 50% of our earnings to nonprofits, hence the name LGBT50. The influencer marketing industry is projected to reach $13.8 billion this year, and we approximate a service available market of $552 million based on prior research. Lastly, our service obtainable market is $867,000, calculated based on our results from Q4 2020. Here's what we've done so far. In the second half of 2020, we were able to garner 26 million views for our largest client, the Tammy app. Utilizing a network of over 80 million collective followers, we were able to amass 200,000 clicks promoting the app, and when using an 8-second average, amounts to just under 45,000 hours of watch time. Rather than entering an extremely competitive market space, we chose to niche down into a community we support, allowing us to quickly form strong relationships with brands. Here are some of our most notable clients. As mentioned before, the Tammy app, the largest LGBT dating app. Additionally, we worked with Procter & Gamble to promote events such as Can't Cancel Pride. We've also worked with the Carpool Group and Good Soldier Records to promote music and movies. As we develop these relationships, these brands are chomping at the bit to increase campaign output.
That being said, 95% of the work up until this point has been tackled by the 3 co-founders, Thomas, Gabe, and myself. We have more than established that we understand this influencer marketing space, and we are able to move the needle for these brands. And going into the future, we plan on staying a lean team by developing proprietary software to meet the high demands of large-scale influencer marketing. Our software will also enable us to systematically expand into other niches outside of the LGBT community when we are ready to do so. We have 4 software projects in development to eliminate time-consuming tasks. This technology will help us move forward towards doubling or even tripling our revenue this year. Additionally, in the next 6 months, we plan to share with other influencer marketing agencies and brands, allowing them to replace employable repetitive tasks with reliable software. Currently in action, we have a data scraping technology that gathers thousands of influencers' insights such as followers, view counts, and much more hourly, which is then neatly stored in our advanced databases. Additionally, we have built a beta form of an automated influencer acquisition technology that is currently gathering 1,500 potential influencers every 40 minutes. Together, these services allow us to effectively source niche-specific influencers for a campaign without the time-consuming hassle of searching through individual influencer profiles. Additionally, we also use chatbot-assisted communication to decrease campaign labor hours. And lastly, we will be working with backend APIs to pull valuable insights such as demographics, location, and much more that are normally inaccessible to brands in these kinds of campaigns. The funding from NVC will be used to hire well-versed software developers to enable us to sell our software to other agencies and brands looking to run large-scale influencer marketing campaigns. Our software will eliminate the time-consuming task of going through platforms to find niche-specific influencers and will also record real-time data for who will best fit their marketing needs.
Help us build a new and profitable revenue stream by funding our SaaS platform that will lead the next wave of cultural change in influencer marketing. With your backing, we're going to become the next big name conquering the influencer market space. Thank you.
I want to thank the team and invite the judges to come back on. I see you're there. Judges, over to you.
I love the company. It's amazing that you guys are already making money, making so much money. I don't know anything about influence marketing, but I wanted to ask a couple questions. You guys went through a lot of information really fast, and I couldn't really tell if you're a software company or you are a marketing consultant company.
Yeah, most definitely. So basically, we are an influencer marketing agency right now, but we're making the pivot towards a software company, as many influencer marketing agencies do. And by doing so, basically, we're utilizing the software to make our agency better, but we know that in doing so is also going to make it's going to be useful for other agencies as well. So we're kind of pushing towards more of that direction.
Okay. And how would you, so is that in a way to help you scale the company? How do you see scaling the company? What are the challenges of scaling the company?
Yes.
Or how
So
would you go about it?
yeah, so when thinking about scaling the company, we were kind of faced with like two like decisions kind of. And so kind of like the first route would be to scale through employees and, you know, hire that and create like those operational systems to then scale. And then the second part would be to scale through code and try to automate as many of our processes as possible. And so in that effort is where we kind of realized that, hey, like this software is really helping us become more efficient. And all these other agencies and brands are running influencer marketing campaigns in really inefficient ways. So that's kind of where we got the idea of like, hey, we can build something that can help brands and agencies run end-to-end influencer marketing campaigns in a really efficient way. So that's kind of like, we're building it for ourselves, but then the idea is to eventually expand and be able to service all influencer marketing agencies and brands.
So would you go beyond, sorry, I'm going to let other judges go into, but would you go beyond the LGBT community, or is that where, so your served market will be beyond LGBT community?
Yeah, for the software, essentially.
Okay. Yeah.
So your biggest client, your biggest campaign so far, what percentage of your revenue does that represent? So the 227 gross revenue, what was attached to either one client or one campaign?
Yes, I would say our biggest partner would be around 70% of our revenue so far.
Okay, and how many campaigns does that represent? 1, 2, 5, 100?
Somewhere around 10 to 12 campaigns.
Okay, and everybody in the world's thinking about influencers right now. You're going to have a ton of competition. What is your competitive barrier that somebody's not going to come in and try to mimic what you're doing and steal your ability to scale?
Well, so one of the things that kind of like puts us above like other influencer marketing agencies is actually the niche that we chose. So we can kind of like build a reputation with brands. One of the things about influencer marketing is that it's a lot based around connections, whether that's connections with influencers or connections with brands. That's kind of what puts us ahead of other people, as well as our knowledge of the platform and our ability to connect with an influencer's audience and a brand's needs, because like most of the time they clash, and that's kind of like our specialty, is like we kind of intertwine them and make it a really seamless process.
What do you consider your biggest technical competitor? And did you consider white labeling this technology from someone else?
Yeah, so I would consider our biggest technical competitor TalkFluence, which is basically just a database of a bunch of influencers, mainly on TikTok, that you can search through and find different niches on. But frankly, their website is just like not up to par. You can see they're like missing a lot of things. And it's not really an end-to-end influencer marketing thing. It's more of just like find the influencers and that's about it. What we're trying to build is more of like a full system. So kind of think like creator IQ. So like pretty much every step through the process, not just one small piece.
1 minute.
Just expanding on that, can you kind of soup to nuts help us understand, you know, if I'm a P&G and I hire you, are you curating for me? Are you giving me a list of 10? How does it work from the company perspective?
Are you talking about the software or the influencer agency?
The influencer agency.
So with the influencer agency, like what we do is actually like figure out exactly what the brand wants. And instead of just like giving them a list, we kind of come up with like more of like their goal in terms of like reach or like what they want from it, followers and whatnot. And then we kind of like work based off of their needs. So they're like, okay, we need, say transgender people in this campaign. We focus on that and then come together with like more of like a product rather than like, hey, this is what's going to be upfront. Just because frankly, influencer marketing is like a lot, pretty much like all over the place. And it's hard for like us to promise things when the influencers are kind of all over the place as well.
Time's up.
Thank you so much.
Timing.
All right, give me a woo woo. Woo! Flamingo Fanatic is in the house here. Thank you, team. Well done. While we give the judges a moment to make their notes, I want to take a moment to celebrate the community that mobilizes to help the next generation of companies coming out of CU. we have a phenomenal network of mentors that help every year. This is the secret sauce that makes the NVC work. In some respects, it's kind of like the classroom turned inside out, where our students and faculty that's creating companies, they have the idea and we mobilize resources to help them. And to help celebrate this, Yuriko Morita, I believe, is going to join us. She's been a mentor with the NVC for several years. Yuriko, thank you for joining us. Why do you mentor with the New Venture Challenge?
Well, the New Venture Challenge I've been involved with for several years now, and I actually have clients. So I do intellectual property consulting, and I have clients that I met at NVC that came through the program. They were either winners or they even just went through it. And in talking in the audience, I had some great experiences, and that became, a mutually beneficial kind of a relationship out of that. And I'm also a CU grad. Yeah.
Thank you for raising your hand to get involved. In terms of why you believe in the NVC's mission, what is it that speaks to you?
It's I love the collapsing the campus concept. You asked Farhan earlier whether she would have been involved when she was in school at CU. I definitely would have. Like my grad school advisor started the company that was acquired by RealD, so she was involved in that kind of really commercial applications of high tech, and I love that. And I have a lot of friends that came out of grad school at CU that started their own companies. I've had the privilege of working with them for years, and so that's why I believe in the CU NVC.
Yuriko, many thank yous for being a mentor, and you were also standing in on behalf of many people behind you in the community who have also volunteered for this year and past years. You guys really are the secret sauce. Many thank yous for doing this.
You're very welcome. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome to see you. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Will
and
do.
We are now up to team 3 of the championships. This team, announcer voice, is changing the face of modern farming. They biomanufacture rare compounds and pharmaceuticals with minimal impact to the environment. They may be just a seedling now, but wait till this company is all grown up. Please help me welcome Seedling Biosystems. Simon, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hello, hello. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome to see you here. Minimizing environmental impact is a big part of what you guys are doing. Do you have a farming background?
I don't, but our other co-founder actually does. So he actually grew up in Illinois, right around the soybean farms that we're now hoping to sort of weasel our way back into. So we do have some farming adjacent people in the company. Yep.
Great to have you. Are you ready to roll?
Let's do it.
All right, Brian, would you please roll the video?
Hi there. My name is Simon Kalmus, and I'm a co-founder of Seedling Biosystems, a company that is redefining biomanufacturing. Humans have long relied on the plant kingdom for a wide variety of uses, and today there are still hundreds of compounds isolated from various plants that are important to our modern way of life, from our medicine to our food. For example, this unassuming flower, the species Catharanthus roseus, it's the Madagascar periwinkle, and it produces trace quantities of the chemotherapeutic drugs vincristine and vinblastin. Now, producing vincristine from periwinkle is not easy. It takes about 1,000 pounds of dried leaves to produce just 1/30th of an ounce of the drug. Vincristine increases the chance of surviving childhood leukemia from 10 to 95%, and there's no better alternative as a treatment. But while these compounds play an important part in our society, their extraction and production can often have undesirable effects. Oftentimes, it's not amenable to commercial cultivation, so they're extracted from their native ecosystems, and in other cases, we simply stop producing it. For example, those chemotherapeutics from the periwinkle are not able to be produced in a profitable manner, and has recently led to a supply shortage, depriving children of much-needed cancer treatments. So now let me tell you a story about a very special plant. This is the soybean, and soybeans have been cultivated across the globe for thousands of years. And through those millennia, we've gotten better and better at producing those beans at greater and greater scales. And today we produce more with less than ever before, leaving delicate ecosystems untouched. So what do we need to do? We need to take the precision and elegance in these invaluable chemistries that plants have evolved all across the globe over eons, molecules like that cancer therapeutic vincristine, and we transfer it into soybeans in order to combine that precision and elegance with the scale and efficiency of soybean cultivation. And by harnessing soybeans to produce these trace and hard to make compounds, it allows us to do away with many of the shortfalls of these other plants. And doing so massively decreases the cost of production and eliminates a wide range of negative environmental consequences. So how does this all actually work? Well, we have American farmers out in the Midwest cultivate our soybeans, and this part looks indistinguishable from any old soybean farm. And from here, we transport our special beans back out to Colorado, relying on the very same transportation infrastructure used every day to bring feed to our livestock throughout the state. Our beans are transported to our facility where our products are extracted and refined. And from our hub here on the Front Range, we're then able to ship these products off. Products like CBD and other cannabinoids shipped off to distributors, terpenes off to the fragrance and culinary industry, and one day, vincristine and the like to children in need all over the globe. Well, as a proof of concept for this exciting new platform, Seedling Biosystems has produced the FDA-approved cannabinoid CBD in soybeans at bench scale. Now, we chose CBD as our pilot product for a variety of reasons. It's a $2.8 billion market, and it's rapidly growing at a compound annual growth rate of 21%. Cannabis cultivation is labor and resource intensive. It consumes high amounts of water and energy. This resource consumption is reflected in prices. Bulk hemp production costs at least $20 per pound, compared to about 6 cents for a pound of soybeans. Another big issue regarding hemp cultivation for CBD is that it often produces too much THC and it must be disposed of. It's a huge waste. Our soybeans would only be capable of producing CBD, and our market research revealed that pure cannabinoids are highly sought after because it gives producers more control over their product. Pure cannabinoids are relatively difficult to isolate from hemp, so our proprietary platform actually creates solutions to both of these problems. Now, our main competitors offering biotech solutions to these problems in cannabinoid production are relying on brewer's yeast. However, many of these synthesis pathways have evolved in plants, and they're not easily or efficiently transferred into yeast. And yeast biomanufacturing is often expensive due to the intensive sterile operating conditions that are required. Our platform eliminates many of these requirements, lending a competitive advantage in the market. So where do we go from here? While preparing to file our utility patent for our process, we are also in the process of developing our first transgenic soybean plant that's capable of producing cannabinoids. And because of the modularity of our platform, we're also already developing processes for the production of other marketable compounds, such as minor cannabinoids and terpenes, and that chemotherapeutic vincristine. We are currently in the process of raising early stage capital in order to expand our operating facilities and to accelerate product development, and acquire legal counsel regarding regulatory agencies as they pertain to the approval of our various technologies. Seedling Biosystems is going to tap into the vast chemical library stored within the world's plant kingdom, helping us to live better lives, all while protecting the ecosystems that these chemistries came from, and we hope that you'll join us. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Simon and the Seedling team. I'm going to invite the judges to come on board and we'll move into Q&A. Judges, over to you.
Ron, all you.
Simon, thank you. One of my portfolio companies is Anthea. It's a synthetic drug development company. And so I believe in the value proposition that the need is very clear and large. The questions that I have a lot of questions, but maybe you can tell us a little bit about the technology, how far you are in creating the synthetic CBD, and are you using existing synthetic biology methods, or do you have an approach that's separate from some of the existing methods?
Yeah, so all good questions. So the synthetic biology is essentially moving so quickly, right, that I think even 10 years ago, this was something that people wouldn't have thought possible. The reason people work with yeast is because the synthetic biology is actually easier from that regard. So we're using a lot of novel methods. We're up on the literature, and we've obviously started to make our own technologies here. The farming, the idea of using plants to make pharmaceuticals is not a new idea. It's 20 years old, it's 30 years old. People were talking about doing it in the 90s, but the technology simply wasn't there. And so we actually are kind of existing right at this fulcrum where where everything's coming together, where the synthetic biology is making it possible to actually start to think about what it would look like to do some of this farming, as people have called it, for 30 years. So our technology is moving quickly. We just filed our provisional in the past week. Our data is starting to really flood in, and we're really thinking forward about where we would like to see ourselves in the next 6 months. So the technology is there, it's proven, and yeah, we're moving fast.
And what are the regulatory challenges here? What would you have to show in a regulatory way for a CBD product from your pilot line?
Yeah, so what's nice here is that it would mostly fall under GMP. If we want to talk about cultivating the seeds outside, if we want to make our soybeans outside, it becomes a more difficult regulatory question. But at the scale that we think we can make it, even indoor cultivation, until we can acquire the approval that we need from the EPA and the FDA and the USDA, is essentially feasible. But soybeans are actually quite easy to control. I think the USDA actually likes them because it's very difficult for their trans genes to actually sort of disperse into the environment. Something like cotton, it requires like a half mile between the next plant that's not transgenic, whereas soybeans, it's like 10 feet. So the USDA actually likes soybeans a lot in that regard.
Okay.
What's the most important milestone aside from probably cash resources that you're looking to hit?
Yeah, so like I said in the pitch, we're at the bench scale now, which means we've made these cannabinoids in soybean cells within soybeans, but it's only on a bench, right? So what we need now is the actual plant, which is technologically feasible. This is possible. This is another one of those 30-year-old technologies, but that's going to be our first really big step where we can start to really think about what this looks like from a commercial standpoint.
And did you share who's on the team? And I missed that, or is there not a team slide?
Yeah, so yeah, there was no team slide. It's trying to cram everything into 5 minutes. It's a talent I have not acquired as of yet. But so I'm working with Brian DeDecker. He's the director of undergraduate research for the MCDB department at CU Boulder. And I was one of his students as an undergrad in the chemical engineering department. And so we started working on this about 3 years ago. And started, hacking away at this soybean idea, and yeah, here we are.
1 minute.
Simon, you mentioned that you've got data flooding in. Tell us what you're learning.
We're learning that biology is complicated, and biology likes to bite back. So, we're getting good data, right? But it's certainly we've had some bait and switches here and there by the system that we're working within. So it's been super interesting to sort of, get the crumbs from our analytical chemists and try and put it back together to see what biology is telling us.
How do you see the world changing if this works and it becomes massive, and the impact on the environment as soybean production goes through the roof? What are the externalities there? Have you thought about those?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the big one is something that we sort of worry gets lost in translation, is that we would, be taking 30% of the world's, food supply to make a couple ounces of some drugs. But it's quite the opposite. It would, some of our projections, some of these markets we could completely disrupt with a couple thousand acres. And the average soybean farm today in America is about 2,000 acres. So we're talking about one family farm able to really come in and change the face of whatever chemical market we're talking about. So
thank you much.
Yep.
All right, the Flamingo Fanatic loves Simon. You have given us an instant classic NVC line. We are learning that biology is complicated.
It bites back.
I love that. Simon, thank you. All right, while the judges deliberate, we're going to highlight, we talked about some of the successful companies that have come out of the NVC and continue to march out of the NVC. The other success story is individuals whose companies don't make it, but then they go on to successful entrepreneurial careers with other companies that they launch and or join. And this has been a great year for NVC alums there. In particular, I'll highlight Fletcher Richmond, who participated 3 times in the NVC, never won or made the championships, went and worked for several years, launched a company with his co-founder Cameron called Help. And I am happy to report, delighted to report that last summer, Halp had a very happy exit to Atlassian, and big ups to Fletcher. Now for a video about NVC alumni and some of the things they're on to. Brian, over to you.
Well, from the beginning, I guess, NVC, I think, was maybe one of the reasons we felt inspired to start Shine On. Alex and I had been talking about different entrepreneurship things that we could try to do. And I saw an email for these pitch competitions at school a few years ago. And I sent it to him and I said, hey, maybe one of the ideas, we should try it out. And how Shine On came to him while he was biking. We were both active bike commuters. Do you want to share how Shine On happened?
Yeah, I've been pretty entrepreneurial my whole life. My dad, I don't think he ever had an office job. And yeah, so thinking of different ways to improve the world. And I bike every single day, to and from campus when I was at school with my different jobs. And the idea for Shine On first came around when I was biking home from campus every day. I would pass someone on the bike path who just had the brightest light. It would blind me. And every single day I'd be like, that's too bright. And then finally, one day I saw someone else swerve a little bit and I was like, there's got to be a better way to see for you to feel safe without blinding other people on the road. So I realized if you took a light and just put it on your own body, you could make yourself instantly 250 times more visible. So I got really excited about it, did a bunch of research. I talked to some of my friends. Kathy got excited about it. And we started looking into ways to how to improve cyclist safety. And then that includes, I like to joke, we probably bothered half the people on campus in one way or another, looking for different opportunities if things evolve or asking people for ideas and advice. So, and that led us through the whole NVC system, which was really amazing for getting our company, getting it running and to the success we are today.
And it's fun to have generations of companies coming off the campus, and good luck to the Shine On team. Thanks for chiming in. All right, on to championship team number 4. This team creates a portable and affordable fiber optic intubation training device. And yes, I had to practice saying that a few times. This device allows medical professionals to visualize airway procedures and improve airway management practices. They are ToobTek. Catherine, welcome to the championships. How are you?
I'm doing really great. I'm excited to be here. I'm joined by another one of my co-founders, Kaushik Kannan, and we're just really excited to show everyone what we've created.
All right, can you give me in 15 seconds a primer? What is intubation?
Intubation is an assisted breathing procedure that is essential for difficult airway management in awake, sedated, and anesthetized patients. It is something that's performed very consistently by medical professionals, and it's a difficult and perishable skill that we're hoping to help medical professionals perfect and keep up.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you for the quick primer. You ready to roll?
Let's do it.
All right, let's play the video, Brian, please. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Catherine Kubacki, CEO and co-founder of ToobTek, a company dedicated to providing comprehensive fiber optic intubation training to medical professionals. My team and I have been working together for almost a year to create a portable, affordable, and realistic simulation training device with the goal of improving the safety of airway management practices overall. Fiber optic intubation is an assistive breathing procedure that has become essential for difficult airway management in awake, sedated, and anesthetized patients. It is a procedure that is performed consistently by medical professionals such as Murphy Anderson. Murphy is a certified nurse anesthetist at Denver Health Medical Center. Murphy has played a direct role in the training of hundreds of medical professionals throughout his career. In addition to training students, Murphy has had to develop his own training model for intubation using glued together tubing, a step up from how he learned using taped together toilet paper rolls. This lack of proper equipment puts an unnecessary burden on medical professionals to be innovative and takes them away from their core function of saving lives. The financial repercussions of improper intubation cannot be taken lightly. In several documented cases, hospitals have incurred several millions of dollars in litigation costs. In addition, unplanned extubation, a complication of failed intubation, cost patients a compounded $4.8 billion annually. Of the 3 million intubation procedures performed in the US each year, 5.8% are classified as difficult. This means there are over 174,000 intubation procedures that medical professionals are currently unequipped to address using available training methods. That's where ToobTek comes in. Our training device utilizes emerging multi-material 3D printing technology to create a device that looks and feels like human tissue. Not only is our model more realistic than those currently on the market, but it is also the only one allowing medical professionals to effectively visualize difficult airways. To do so, all of our components are designed to be interchangeable. This means that our device, on its own, can be used to train for a variety of different airways. This allows medical professionals to practice and build confidence with some of the difficulties they may face so that they can ultimately understand and identify them better. Our product has been used by medical professionals at Denver Health and is currently undergoing further user testing to assure our product provides the most realistic training experience possible. Our product not only has the potential to make a difference, but also has the capability to transform medical device training and present a viable business opportunity. The medical simulation market was valued at $1.36 billion in 2017 and is expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 16.3% through 2025, with hospitals and academic institutions accounting for more than half of the healthcare simulation market share. Further, there are over 5,000 community hospitals and over 16,000 licensed EMT facilities in the United States. And at a sale price of $1,500 per unit and an assumed 5 models per hospital, we capture a market of over $158 million from our base airway model alone. In order to capture this growing market, ToobTek will implement a B2B go-to-market strategy where hospitals are the customers and medical professionals are the end users. We will monetize this idea through a catalog that can be easily used to purchase training models for intubation. With the medtech market growing in prevalence, several competitors have emerged. Here's why ToobTek comes out on top. First, our model is more anatomically relevant than competing models. Through extensive research, our team has identified materials that have allowed us to replicate the look and feel of human tissue. Second, our model incorporates a black box approach to intubation training, allowing medical professionals to test themselves with identifying features of human anatomy through visualization. Our competition simply cannot offer a model with the same combination of anatomical relevance, visualization of the respiratory system, interchangeability, and portability that we offer here at ToobTek. We have an incredible team of engineers, bringing experience from business development to mechanical design. We are adamant about improving intubation training for medical professionals across the US and have created a device that we believe will change the future of medical training. We are also supported by an incredible team of mentors spanning the medical, engineering, and business development spaces, including institutions such as Medtronic and Denver Health. In the words of Dr. Blaine Workentine, nobody forgets their first intubation. Are you willing to help change the future of medical training with us? Thank you.
Thanks to the ToobTek team. I'm going to invite the judges and the team to jump in for the Q&A. Judges, over to you.
Or it's all you.
Awesome. Great job, ToobTek team. Looks a heck of a lot better than taped toilet paper rolls. So first question, how much does it cost you to make one of these and how did you land on the $1,500 price point?
Yeah, so thanks for that question, Laura. Currently, it costs us $150 to make one of these. And we arrived at that $1,500 price point because that's actually very competitive with one of those competitors we pointed out, which is Ambu and their intubation training model. One of the key things to note about that is that the components of that Ambu model are not interchangeable, as we mentioned. And so it doesn't allow for medical professionals to get that consistent practice. So we really think we're demonstrating that value add of our product through pricing it accordingly.
2 quick questions for you. What other startups have you seen directly to hospitals, sell directly to hospitals? You're doing B2B, you're a small group. How often do hospitals buy from startups? Secondly, from a competitive standpoint, what protections do you have against somebody copying what you're doing and doing the same thing?
Yeah, so to tackle the first part of that, Jason, in terms of startups that have gone direct to B2B sales, we actually feel very confident about that because within our professional network, we are connected with group purchasing organizations, and over 97% of US hospitals actually drive their decision-making in sales to adopt medical technologies such as these through these group purchasing organizations. And so those are already in our professional network, as well as organizations, as we mentioned, like Medtronic and Denver Health. And to take the second part of that question, we're actually in the stages right now of finalizing our provisional patent application, and we're working closely with an attorney to make sure that we review our claims and get that submitted as soon as possible.
What do you foresee your the exit strategy being for this organization?
Yeah, so one of the major things is that we've got a great relationship right now, Charisse, with Medtronic, and they've been doing a lot of early prototyping and have enabled us to get these models out to Denver Health. So certainly pursuing an acquisition route in the future with an organization like Medtronic that has a demonstrated interest in this technology, and actually the materials that we're using for our model, those are materials that they purely have relegated for experimental purposes. So they're actually invested in using this material to help build technologies like this. So I think that's a very viable exit strategy for this type of a business.
Catherine, you mentioned that there was a visual cue that the user would get when they are that to help them with training. Can you explain that? Or did I misunderstand?
Yes, so at the end of each fiber optic scope, there's a camera. And so as medical professionals guide their scope into our device, they're able to see on the camera where they are within our respiratory system. And because our model is designed to be as realistic as possible, this means that they have the cues of actual anatomy. So for example, we have the epiglottis within the larynx and other anatomical features that are there. And so through that and the screen, they're able to see where they are and figure out the best strategy to navigate throughout that respiratory system.
The team page you had had titles, but it didn't say what your backgrounds were. Has anybody on the team performed this procedure before?
Not in a medical setting, but we have all used the prototype, and we've also brought this to Denver Health and been taught by Murphy Anderson how to use this prototype.
Got it.
And what do you plan to do with the money, and how's your what are the next steps?
Yeah, so one of our big next steps, Farhan, is actually to develop other airways, and we've actually taken steps to do this already. So as Katie mentioned in our pitch, our components are interchangeable. So right now we've got a base airway model that represents a healthy human adult, but we realize that that's only a subset, right, of what these medical professionals see in the field. And so by replacing our trachea, for example, with a trachea with a tumor, we're able to account for more of those difficult airway procedures. And so a lot of our initial funding is going towards materials and covering those expenses to produce these difficult airway procedures and really help us take that next step forward in our developing our competitive advantage.
30 seconds.
What's the next hire you need on the team?
Yeah, the next person we need on is somebody to help negotiate sales with our B2B go-to-market strategy through the hospitals and these group purchasing organizations.
These group purchasing organizations, they take a cut, I assume?
Yes.
Do you know what that cut is?
We do not at this point, but we will definitely know in the near future.
Okay.
That's time.
All right, the Flamingo Fanatic gives a woo woo. Woo woo. There you go, guys. A lot of fun while the judges record their notes and scores. As we said, as I highlighted at the outset, obviously this has been a very difficult past year. The pandemic has brought out some of the best at CU, as well as throughout the emerging company startup community in the area. Two stories to highlight. I want to invite Eric Miller from the Deming Center. He's the executive director at the Deming Center. He helped launch an organization called Co-Venture Forward out of the Leeds School of Business. Eric is also a dual or a triple threat. He's also a longtime partner of the NVC and helped run a lot of this year's events. Eric, welcome. Tell us what CoVenture Forward has done as part of the pandemic response off the campus.
Yeah, you bet, Brad. Thanks. And hi, everybody. Excited to share a little bit about one of the ways that our community contributed during these challenging times. CoVenture Forward, it's a partnership all across campus, by the way. We created, this support program to help entrepreneurs and small business owners throughout our state, really in three key ways: mentoring, student support, and faculty insights. And to date, we've helped nearly 150 companies throughout the state through these challenging times. And I want to give a quick example of Frog Hollow Brooms. And I actually have one of their brooms right here. I don't know if everybody can see that. They're artisan brooms. Like, how cool is that? And Penny, the founder, worked with Eric Bruno, which is one of our community mentors. Then she worked with a group of students who helped her business pivot from in-person marketing, which was gone, right, to digital marketing. And she's not only weathered the COVID storm, but has thrived. And this has all come from our community coming together, raising their hand and saying, we want to be a part of the solution. We want to help. And that's just one of many examples of how our community is kind of giving back.
Big smile from my end. I love that example too, Eric. I'm going to loop in another, to my mind, great story coming off the campus, inspired by the need to respond to the pandemic. Christina Canino, and Eric, please stay on. Christina, hopefully we'll get you on as well. Christina is the managing director for an organization called Humankind. HK, for shorthand, mobilizes students as part of the pandemic relief effort. Christina, tell us, what has HK been on to in terms of impact in the community?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for letting me talk a little bit about HK. It's one of my favorite things, so I always enjoy the opportunity to talk about it. So what Humankind does is it actually was founded roughly a year ago from a lot of people that are on this call with the intent of helping those who were most impacted by the pandemic. And how we did this was by recruiting an army of volunteers who were able and willing to help and matching them with those in the community who are most in need. And we did this through three main initiatives: virtual tutoring, free grocery delivery, and elderly support. And what we very quickly learned is a lot of the obstacles that we thought people were facing as a result of the pandemic have been challenges that were present well before the pandemic, have persisted through the pandemic, and will continue beyond the pandemic. And so that's really given us a platform to be able to match volunteers with community members outside of the scope of the pandemic. And to date, we've hosted over 150 tutoring sessions. We've had over 50 grocery deliveries, and we have nearly 400 volunteers now. So it's great to see the impact that we've been able to have on the community beyond the pandemic.
Well, it's moving. Christina, I was involved with HK, and since I rolled off and you took over the leadership along with some other students, you guys have absolutely hit the impact in the world that we were on to. Congratulations to you. Eric, thank you for what you and the team over at CoVenture Forward has done. These are great stories to highlight amid a difficult year. You guys are going to leave things a little bit better. Thank you to you and your teams. All right, it's going to be an awkward move back to the announcer voice now, but it's time to look at team number 4, championship number 5, which is on to a big idea. Developing technologies to revolutionize human healthcare on Earth and in space. Get your Earth and space health solutions in one stop with Orbital Biodesign. I'd like to welcome Danny Carroll to the show. Danny, welcome to the championships. How are you?
Thank you so much, Brad. It's such a pleasure to be here and an absolute honor and a privilege. So thank you for having me.
Are we ready to roll?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, let's hear about the company. We'll play the video first. Thanks, Danny.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Dr. Danny Carroll, founder and CEO of Orbital Biodesign. So everyone's background is different, and mine has been quite a ride. Right after college, I flew jets as an officer on active duty in the US Air Force, and after flying for a few years, transitioned into the reserve to go to medical school and ultimately to pursue general surgery. During med school, I was plugged into the aerospace medicine scene and really found my home. The dream has been to combine medicine and flying to advance medical capabilities for the spaceflight environment. So I paused surgery training after 3 years to seize a NASA fellowship opportunity. After the first year, it was hit hard by COVID, so I moved to Boulder to pursue dual master's degrees in bioastronautics through the Aerospace Engineering Department and engineering management with a focus on leadership and innovation. I'm also the principal investigator on a NASA grant of my own now and stay clinically active by moonlighting at the hospital and also as a flight surgeon for an Air National Guard fighter squadron. With all that in mind, I created Orbital Biodesign as a forum to bring together a wealth of experience in aviation, medicine, and now engineering to develop new technologies that genuinely support human health, both on Earth and in space. According to the Cleveland Clinic, over 40% of US adults suffer from chronic venous insufficiency. Prevalence of this condition is even higher among women. And according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, in 2020, the average US worker spent more than 4 hours of every workday standing, which only makes this condition worse. Well, it turns out I'm one of those people. I developed venous insufficiency after a lot of long hours spent standing like this is me, in the operating room, and have the ugly spider veins to prove it. So I'm committed to solving this problem. So what is venous insufficiency anyway? Unlike arteries, the venous network is passive, relying on contraction of the calf muscle pump by walking to squeeze blood back up toward the heart, acting like a second heart of sorts. With prolonged standing, blood tends to pool in the lower legs, creating edema or swelling, dilation of veins, and an unsightly condition known as varicose veins. Up to now, people have primarily used static compression socks, which have a litany of negatives, the most important of which is that they really don't even solve the problem to begin with. Pneumatic sequential compression devices, a variation of which are used in the inpatient hospital setting for bedridden patients with high clot risk, are too big, bulky, and loud to allow for people or for use by people who are on the go. Not to mention they're tethered to a machine, as you see here. And you can imagine what the upper extremity version looks like. As a smart and scientifically driven community, we can do better. Our solution is to use robotic technology built into a dynamic sleeve that goes around the lower leg to pump blood back up toward the heart when your calf muscle is not in use. With an estimated $3.3 billion market value, we want to ensure that our device can really get the job done. With our provisional patent application filed, we have 2 actuator mechanisms in development in parallel. We anticipate finalizing our prototype in the next several weeks and iterating once before our validation study, which is scheduled for this coming summer. So how is Devicex different from the dynamic compression devices that are already on the market? Our device is portable, slim fit to go under work pants or scrubs, lightweight, Bluetooth capable, silent, affordable, and durable. And since Devicex activates the calf muscle pump when it's otherwise at rest, its applications are many. Anyone who stands or sits for long periods of time with a relaxed calf muscle would benefit from augmented venous return. This includes healthcare workers like me. Patients in the hospital with high clot risk, as I mentioned, such as those who are bedridden, post-surgical, or post-COVID, would benefit tremendously from the clot reducing capabilities of Devicex. Enhanced circulation can actually shorten recovery time for athletes, and it can even help astronauts on long duration missions. There are serious cardiovascular effects that result from spending time in zero gravity, especially while traversing deep space to another planet, and our device will mitigate many of those risks. The bottom line is that at Orbital Biodesign, we do meaningful work. So here's our all-star crew that's working together to tackle this problem. Drs. Alan Hargens and George Pantalos are both prolific cardiovascular researchers and medical device developers, and have been for over 4 decades. Dr. Jana Montgomery is a mechanical engineer involved in tech development, and Mike Yin is our software developer. In order to meet our target of having a consumer-ready device in time for our validation studies this summer, we need to hit the ground running. With a $300,000 investment, we can fully fund research and development, test, iterate, and refine, create a robust ad campaign, and even expand our brand to develop variations that treat both upper and lower extremities. We've got our finger on the pulse of the wearable tech market, and we'd love for you to join us. Thank you.
Danny, thanks to you and the team. Invite the judges to come on. I see they're here. Judges, over to you.
This is fascinating. I have a couple questions. I've got 3 surgeons in my family, and none of them have mentioned this issue. So I wanted to hear from you again. What percentage of people, surgeons in particular, do you think have this issue? And then why choose surgeons versus blood clots of more sedentary patients when that seems like that's more life-threatening?
Sure, absolutely. So the first question, my estimate is probably between 80 and 90% of surgeons, at least among my own peers that I've asked, because you can imagine I've done quite a lot of customer, customer evaluation and everything. I would say, so between 80 and 90% probably suffer from this problem among my own peers and the nurses that I work with as well, same issue. And the way, I'm sorry, remind me the second question just to make sure I get it right.
Why did you choose to help physicians and surgeons as opposed to those patients that are sedentary and are at a clot risk, which seems like that could be more life-threatening?
Absolutely. So the first use case, and really the way that I came up with this to begin with, was by standing in the operating room. I literally was standing there and my legs were hurting, and I'm thinking, gosh, this is awfully distracting from the job, from the task at hand, which is to take care of the patient that's on the table, fully anesthetized, and literally at our fingertips. And so that was really the initial use case that I had thought of that prompted this whole thing. But as I've dug more into it, more and more use cases have popped up. The primary one of which is certainly bedridden hospital patients. I will say another one came up very recently, actually. My own mom just recently was diagnosed like about a week and a half ago with a DVT. She had fallen, she slipped and fell recently. So she's in her 60s, slipped and fell, fractured her humerus, her upper arm, and actually sustained a soft tissue injury to her lower leg. And that damage just from the soft tissue injury served as a nidus for a clot. And so now she's on an irreversible blood thinner, which I don't love because she's a fall risk. And so that she runs the risk of having a brain bleed if she happens to fall again. So I think there are a whole host of additional potential use cases here. So I think I'm still sorting through exactly which the first medical use case will be, but the plan for getting to market is to start with a massage device while FDA approval is pending.
If I understand correctly, you're still working on the prototype, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. So I've got, oh, sorry.
So how confident are you that your solution works? Let me ask you a question. If the version that we saw that the patient was in the bed with the machine next to them, does that work well enough? Forget the form. We understand why that doesn't work for a surgeon, but does that technology work well enough for what you need to do in your version?
So the problem with that version is that hospital patients hate them so much that they rip them off and they don't even wear them. So part of the problem, and I've discussed this with so many of my peers, I can't even tell you. Part of the issue is that folks aren't even wearing it to begin with.
But if they were, let me ask you a different way. If they were wearing it, does that technology work? Does that solve the problem?
Partially. So part of the issue is that it doesn't support people actually standing. So I have yet to actually see a device that can be used while you're standing. There's not anything on the market for that. So, which is surprising to me, but.
But the prototype is not ready yet. So what do you see the challenges or the biggest risks of getting that prototype out? Because I would have really loved to see what it looks like.
Sure, absolutely. I have a non-functional prototype, which I had flashed a photo of up at one point, but it's basically a sleeve.
Okay.
It's essentially it's a black sleeve.
Okay.
But the part of why, so what's in development currently is these two separate actuator mechanisms, and I've been interfacing with engineers on both sides, and I've already got the industrial designers kind of tagged up, paired up with each of these engineering folks. So that there really are two separate devices being developed in parallel, according to the specifications that I personally have outlined as the physician that's overseeing this whole thing, and also, the person who's done really extensive due diligence. The nice thing also is that the advisors that I mentioned, Dr. Pantalos and Dr. Hargens, have been involved in this stuff for decades. They specialize in cardiovascular research and cardiovascular health. So I feel very confident that I'm surrounded by a really solid team.
20 seconds.
You did a good job. You got us speechless.
All right, please help me thank Danny and Orbital Biodesign. Ready to go, Danny.
Thank you, everyone.
While the judges make some notes, Jason, I'm going to ask you to stay on for just a second because before we have team number 6, I want the world to see this beauty of a shirt, which when we were teaching together, Jason, you had me wear that for a class session because I lost a bet.
Yes, you did. It was Nebraska versus Michigan in Ann Arbor. Michigan won. That gave my wife and I the right to buy you that shirt and edit it as we wished. And I got to say, I learned more about your midsection that day than I ever wanted to know.
A scarring but unforgettable experience for our students as well. What do you think about the NVC champion this year taking home the panda shirt?
No, I think that's distinctly yours, my friend. I think that is yours to have to keep. It's like a Wheel of Fortune prize.
This is your last time on the judging panel for the foreseeable future, at least. I wanted to say, man, have we been lucky to have you. Did you ever imagine the NVC would grow into this?
No, I thought it'd be a good educational experience for some people. And when it's turned out to really truly collapse the campus, it's not just a cliche. The companies that have come out have been real. They've gone on to accelerators and funding and success. But more than that, the thing I'm most proud of is that now the community owns this thing. And that's why part of me thinks it's time to step aside as one of the founding fathers. I think it's, the community owns this. And then the people who do this are amazing. The culture of the companies that are created are in general well above average of the culture of many startups that I got to deal with in the 20 years I was a venture capitalist. So it's not just what they do, but how they do it. And it's, if anybody who was around that table today and we talked about this idea thought it'd become this, that person's a liar. This way better than we could have imagined.
All right, we're going to pack the Boulder Theater for these championships a year from now. Are you going to be there?
Hell yeah. I got to come.
All right.
I'm never going to miss one of these things.
All right, well, let's move on to our final championship team for tonight. Championship team number 6 is a company for our times. They create a reusable device that extends effective storage time for ultra low temperature vaccines. Their product, Portavax, improves vaccine access in smaller, low-income communities and hard to reach rural areas by improving the vaccine cold chain. Welcome, Claire Meyer of Hug Solutions. Claire, welcome to the NVC Championships. How are you?
I'm so good. So excited to be here.
All right, we ready to roll?
Let's do it.
All right, Brian, please play the video for Hug Solutions.
Health, unity, growth. These are keys to improving the lives of all people on our planet. We are Hug Solutions, and we are incredibly excited to introduce our life-saving device, Portavax, a vaccine carrier designed to transport mRNA vaccines. Our goal is to ensure that the rural population worldwide is not left behind as modern healthcare develops. But who exactly is the rural population? It's more people than you might think. Nearly half the entire world's population is considered rural. The farther you get from large developed cities, the more the vaccine distribution network breaks down. Each year, there are an estimated 1.5 million deaths that could be avoided by improving global vaccine coverage. The COVID-19 pandemic taught us the importance of vaccines. We've all been doing our part to help stop the spread of this virus, but the ongoing threat to the rural population due to lack of vaccine distribution is a big issue that doesn't get the attention it needs. By improving global vaccine distribution, we can save millions of people every year. But before we can talk about how we will solve the problem, it is imperative to know that the future of vaccines is a huge part of the solution. Newly developed mRNA vaccines have the potential to vaccinate everyone. Because the vaccines are sequenced, they can be made in a lab at scale, creating a huge supply. However, the vaccines require lower cold chain storage to maintain their stability. mRNA vaccines are undoubtedly the future of medicine, and by 2027, the global vaccines market will reach nearly $105 billion. So if we're going to have all these new mRNA vaccines, then what's the problem? The current distribution system is built for refrigeration temperatures, not ultra cold. The existing devices can't be used. New ultra-low temperature coolers cost tens of thousands of dollars and are not a feasible solution in developing countries where electricity may not be reliable. The cardboard boxes currently being used for the COVID-19 vaccine are too heavy to carry and are not robust enough to survive outside of the mass distribution network. They're built for cities with many thousands of people, not small villages days away from any hospital. So there is a huge supply of vaccines and a huge demand for them, but no solution to deliver them to the millions of people worldwide who have been left behind as we transition to these modern vaccines. But we have a solution: PortaVax, a reusable vaccine carrier capable of maintaining ultra-low cold temperatures that is portable and robust enough to deliver these vaccines without electricity. PortaVax truly is portable. It can be carried in a backpack for access anywhere, whether that be a nursing home in a small town or a remote village in a developing country days away from a hospital. For larger scale distribution, multiple devices can be shipped together on a pallet or box. 250 doses per device is the ideal number of vaccines for rural distribution. It allows the entire payload of vaccines to be administered upon arrival. Since we started its development last August, we've been gaining momentum fast on PortaVax. This isn't just an idea. We are currently on our second iteration of prototypes, which are fully functional devices that can be used to transport vaccines today. We are currently testing the devices thoroughly with promising results thus far. We are also in the process of applying for patents to protect our IP, since there are multiple components of the device which allow it to both maintain its temperature and protect the vaccine vials. Our beachhead market is rural India. India has the largest rural population in the world, and they are the largest manufacturer of vaccines in the world. We have formed a partnership with the Jodhpur School of Public Health in Rajasthan, India. Thus far, they've given us first-hand insight into rural vaccinations, which we've used to tailor PortaVax's capabilities to the actual needs of doctors working in the rural vaccination drives. Through JSPH, we have connections to sell PortaVax to the Indian government and nonprofits. From there, we will expand our partnerships to nonprofits worldwide. These organizations are already working on aid and vaccine drives, but need the new technology to keep the modern vaccines at the proper temperature. We will partner with them to give them the devices they need, which they can implement into their existing distribution networks immediately. And at a cost of less than 1/4 cent per dose, PortaVax is an extremely affordable way to deliver vaccines to places otherwise unreachable. Our 1-year sales goal of 5,000 units will generate $1.5 million in revenue. By making rural vaccination distribution profitable, we can help reduce the vaccine inequity gap. It's also important to consider our environmental impacts. Working with Intertech Plastics right here in Colorado, we can use up to 80% recycled plastic. We've got an excellent team working on PortaVax. We have 5 senior mechanical engineers at CU with a wide range of experience from business to global settings, and a team of experts to back us up. We've made huge progress on PortaVax already, but we can't do this alone. We need your help to vaccinate everyone, no matter where they are. We've all been doing our part to help stop the spread of viruses here in Boulder, but with your help on PortaVax, we can save millions of people worldwide. Thank you.
All right, thanks to the Hug Solutions team. We'll invite the judges to come on for Q&A for championship team number 6. Judges, over to you.
What did you learn about the first prototype that you brought forward into the second?
Yeah, so our first prototype was a lot bulkier, and it was kind of intended to just be a proof of concept prototype. It wasn't very aesthetically pleasing. Basically, we learned that we could shrink our design.
Also, what about the security of vaccinations? How will they be keyed, or some way that someone couldn't tamper with something that's being sent through a rural area?
Yeah, absolutely. So on top of our device is actually a locking mechanism that would be entrusted, the key would be entrusted with somebody who's responsible for the vaccines.
Thank you.
Couple quick hits. How long do the vaccines last? Can stay at temperature? That's number 1. Number 2, tell me about competition. I'm sure there's a lot of people looking at this, given what's going on.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and answer your first question. So vaccines in our device we maintain the temperatures required to keep the vaccines at the required storage temperature for 4 days, approximately. And we think in future iterations of our model that we can potentially increase that time frame. And we also have confirmation from our partner JSPH that is actually a reasonable time frame for delivering the vaccine payload. And I'll have Braden answer the second part of your question.
Perfect. Thanks, Evan. Yeah, so to protect from competition, we are filing patents for our specific design, but we're also on the very, very cutting edge of this. We're not aware of anyone else that is currently making these devices for exactly what we're doing. which is a lot of people. So we're going to bring PortaVax to market before they can, and then hopefully we can use our solution to deliver the vaccines right away. And that will help limit the need for other people to come in and solve this huge problem, because there's such an underserved market going on here. There's room for other competitors, but we really want to be the first one to solve this problem, because it's important to get this done right now.
Thank you.
What is your key, where is it the refrigeration or packaging? What's the key piece that's your IP and that you're patenting?
So yeah, the key piece is the insulation. We've struck a really nice balance between insulation and portability and affordability. So there's this balance where those two come together, and we've designed it very specifically to hit that point exactly.
And how much does it weigh, each one of the units now?
Fully loaded under 15 pounds. So it's easily carryable.
Okay. And what is limiting the 120 hours? Is it some battery life type thing? What's the fun? Is it a fun? How easy is it to extend that?
Yeah, so we're using dry ice as the cooling method. We can increase the time by increasing the amount of dry ice we're using, but you run into problems where the dry ice temperature is negative 80 degrees Celsius. And when you've got that outside at 40 degrees Celsius, there's such a huge temperature differential, you're running into thermodynamic limits of how long you can keep it. So we're really pushing. We've got our insulation all the way up. We've got that as high as we can go right now, but we're working on developing it to get it even further.
And Braden and Evan, you hit on this too. You mentioned right now it's at 4 days. Can any of your competition go longer than 4 days with different types of technology?
So yes, Pfizer has developed a thermal shipper for their competition, for their device. But our device is more competitive in that it's lighter. Pfizer's thermal shipper right now is a cardboard box with some insulation. So our device is more robust, and they claim that their device lasts 10 days, but then has to be refilled. Our device can also be refilled. And I also want to point out that Pfizer's thermal shipper is like 30 or 40 kilograms. So definitely not something that is easily transportable. Those are designed for more urban areas, whereas our device can get it to rural locations. So yeah.
And can your
25 seconds
be used?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, Evan.
So our device could be used up to 500 times is what we're trying to ensure usability. So that's a big selling point for it.
How much do you think the price point will be?
That's time.
Take a sentence, ballpark price point?
Yeah, we're set at around $300 right now.
Okay, thank you.
All right, big ups, round of applause for Hug Solutions. Thank you. And the judges are gonna drop off and deliberate. An elegant transition that I made. I wanna clarify something to everybody about Shine On. So we're celebrating Fletcher Richmond and the HELP team. Shine On is very much an ongoing business. During the next few minutes during deliberations, go over to their website, buy a bike light. I was one of their backers, and it's terrific what they're working on. I wanna make sure about that clear. That is a wrap on our championship teams. The judges are now going to deliberate, and you are going to choose the Audience Choice Award winner. And then you'll hear a little bit about our companies. I'm going to turn things over to a longtime partner of the New Venture Challenge, a friend of mine. He's an associate professor of composition. He's also the director for the Entrepreneurship Center for Music, which just won the 2020 Specialty Entrepreneurship Education Award from the GCEC, the Global Consortium of Entrepreneurship Centers. Over to you, Jeff Nitsch.
Thank you, Brad. Okay, you know, I do not envy the job of the judges tonight, because as Brad mentioned, I've been doing this for a few years with everyone, and every year it literally gets better and better. So it's really, really exciting to see where we come out tonight. So before we go on to the Audience Choice Awards, I want to once again thank our sponsors who literally make NVC possible. We could not do this without you, and we are so, so grateful. Now, as entrepreneurs, we love to have numbers to show the impact of our ventures, and we at NVC definitely have some numbers. 900 teams have competed since our first championship in 2008. Over $500,000 has been awarded to startups, and that's just since 2017. NVC alums have raised more than $27 million in additional funding, and more than one NVC winner has gone on to a successful exit. But there's a deeper impact to you. Students who participate in the NVC, regardless of their major or whether or not they win, build a really powerful set of tools, of relationships that continue to serve them long after they leave CU. We've been seeing this all evening. NVC alums go on to all manner of new entrepreneurial ventures, and sometimes competing in the NVC literally changes the course of their lives. There are countless of these stories, and each year there are more. And it's these stories that show the far-reaching impact of NVC, equipping hundreds of students each year with the tools to go out and change the world. As we continue to grow and improve with each year, our need for sponsorship grows as well. So if you're already a supporter of NVC, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And if you are new to sponsorship to NVC, I encourage you to contact us, get in touch with our team, and we can talk with you about how you or your business can be involved in supporting NVC 15. There's an email address in the chat. It's cunvc@colorado.edu, and we'll be happy to talk with you about this. All right, on to the Audience Choice Award. So I have my own voice that I can use here. Brad isn't the only one who can do a voice. So here's my game show voice. And now on to our Audience Choice Award, where you, our virtual studio audience, get to rate pitches from 3 other NVC teams and determine fabulous cash and prizes for the winner. Okay, enough. See, in addition to the first round, the semifinal round, and the championship round tonight, we this year had 3 specialty prizes. One of them was for ventures founded and led by women. One was for ventures designed to make significant social impact. And the third was for early stage NVC newcomers. The winner of these 3 prizes are being presented to you tonight for your audience choice. Each one will have a short pitch. There's no Q&A or anything like that. We just have a short video pitch for each one. And then at the end, you will do a poll and we'll find out who won when we announce all of the rest of the prizes. So get ready to vote in a few minutes. And we will start with our first audience choice team, Chembotics. Take it away, Brian.
Hi, my name is Kaylee Shara, and I'm a PhD student and founder of Chembotics. My company's mission is to accelerate new molecule discovery. The pandemic's made it abundantly clear that the world depends on chemistry to solve many of our greatest challenges. Chemistry is integral to developing new pharmaceutical drugs, materials for carbon capture, and even exploring space. However, making new molecules remains very slow. Here's how we make new molecules. We react together solid and liquid chemicals, then isolate, purify, and analyze the chemical products we want. We then repeat the cycle to build up our final target molecule. It's very tedious and manual and in need of a better approach. Chembotics is developing a robotic solution 16 times faster and dramatically more reproducible than conventional chemical R&D. Here's an early version of our machine. Our 200-pound steel and aluminum behemoth coming to life in my living room robotics workshop. While this is our prototype, here's a render of what the final machine will look like. You can see the overhead robotic arm, chemical storage in the back, and chemical reactors in the front. Again, 16 times faster, much safer, and much more reproducible R&D. We're head and shoulders better than the competition. We run 24/7, 365, lights out and unattended. Our customers will benefit from dramatically increased throughput without adding headcount. This will enable us to capture market share in the $6 billion annual market. Today, our prototype's over 75% complete, and the rest is engineering. These are our key achievements to date. I'm Kaylee Shara. My training in both electrical engineering and organic chemistry makes me uniquely suited to lead the company. Aditya is an accomplished entrepreneur who's previously won millions in government funding. Our partners include Vex Robotics and the CU Atlas Institute. We have a team of skilled engineers, And finally, our advisors have trained under a Nobel laureate, founded multiple companies, even had a multi-billion-dollar exit. Bottom line, we've assembled a winning team. I've wanted this product since I first entered the lab myself. The world is desperate for new molecules to save lives and the planet. Chembotics is on a mission to accelerate the discovery of these molecules. Join us.
Okay, that was fascinating. I mean, how many of us can say that we have a robotics workshop in our living room? Before we go on to our next pitch, remember, you get to rank which of these three teams gets your vote for audience choice, and $1,000 is on the line. The poll will be coming up at the end of the segment, so please be tuned up for that, and we can get these votes cast. But first, next up is our next team, Loopsketch. Let's roll that video.
Describe the feeling of making music with other people.
Connected.
Se deixar levar, entrar em uma outra dimensão.
Joy. Communauté, une fluidité et du funk.
Oft einfach magisch.
Hi, I'm Darren. Today I'm going to introduce you to Loopsketch, the better way to make music with friends wherever they may be. Loopsketch is a software platform designed for collaborative music making, for a remote experience that feels more like an in-person jam session. So how does this work? Let's say, for example, Johnny, Jasmine, and I live in different parts of the country. I send them a link to a virtual jam room on Loopsketch and we get started. Johnny records a drum beat and hits the share button. The beat pops up in his workspace for all of us to hear. Cool, now we have a drum beat. Jasmine feels some inspiration, records a guitar riff, and hits the share button. I like that. I'm going to layer something over the top of that. I hit the record button and then share it with the group. At this point, we could really start to jam out. Now we have some nice pieces to work with and we can keep adding layers as we see fit. This design opens up opportunities to revolutionize the way musicians buy and sell loops. Currently, musicians can spend hours sifting through thousands of loops online, which really interrupts the music making process. Instead, Loopsketch will provide AI-powered recommendations from a central loop marketplace that fit the style of whatever song you're composing. This is similar to how Spotify recommends songs based on your preferences. Commercial loop distributors and musicians using Loopsketch can publish their loops to our central marketplace, set their licensing preferences, and name their price, opening up an additional revenue stream for musicians in a time when they've been hit hard by the pandemic. If you're excited about bringing people together through music, please reach out. Thank you for listening.
All right, cool. Obviously, as a fellow musician, I love this one. But then again, I also used to be a scientist, so I loved chembotics too. I also love that the French word for funk is funk. So casting my vote is going to be tough. Maybe this last pitch is going to tip the scales. We'll see what our last team has to offer. Let's see the pitch for Social Dynamic.
Hi, everyone. I'm so thrilled to be here and tell you a little bit about our company, Social Dynamic. We are a social impact strategy company, which means that we go into other companies and help them develop campaigns and strategies so that they can have a positive social impact on local, national, even global communities. We help them develop this system so they're continuing to have this impact long after we're done working with them. With over $130,000 in revenue in just under a year, we're thrilled with the traction we've been able to gain and the impact this has let us have in the world. After one of the hardest years that many of us have gone through, we're striving every single day to give back to the communities that helped us get through it all. This is also incredibly exciting to us because we get to help other companies do this on a much larger scale than any of us could do as individuals. So here's a little context. Companies are now acutely aware of the new values-driven habits of consumers. They know that they need to show and act on their core values as a company, but unfortunately, many of them lack the know-how to do this in an authentic and sustainable way. That's when they come to Social Dynamic. We're not a PR agency. We're not a traditional marketing firm. Instead, we specialize in the human connection and authenticity. We absolutely cannot wait to see new ways in which we can help our local communities, as well as to create impactful, sustainable, real change in the world through the companies that we get to work with. We truly believe that we can change the world one company at a time, and we would love for you to join us along the way. Thank you so much for being here.
All right, thank you, Social Dynamic. And now, the time has come when we all have to make a choice. You will determine with $1,000 on the line. Any second now, you will see a poll in your Zoom window where you can pick your favorite team. Cast your vote, and we'll announce the results at the end of the night. Thank you, Whit. And while you're doing that, I'd like to introduce our host for the next segment of this evening's program. Amy Dodenhoff joins us from the terrific folks at CU Venture Partners. Take it away, Amy.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Jeff. Exciting. Hope you guys are all voting for the Audience Choice Award. Suspense continues while the judges deliberate. And in the meantime, we're going to do some Q&A with the teams so we can get to know them a little bit better, the teams being the finalists. So first question is going to be for all the teams, and we'll go through in the same order in which you pitched tonight. So in 30 seconds or less, what was the best part of your NVC experience? Sarus Robotics.
Hi, I would say pitching and going through the process of iterating on this pitch. I know I gave the pitch, but it's really been something between the three of us. Late nights in conference rooms, me going through and these two keeping me accountable. So that's been awesome.
That's great. All right, LGBT 50.
Hi. I would say definitely the feedback and help that we got from the judges and the mentors. It really just made the three of us, we just learned so much, and also made us kind of ponder our business and think about the trajectory and where we're headed in the future. So it was just really, really awesome.
Great. Seedling Biosystems.
Yeah, I'd honestly say, I think for me, it's seeing just what the great ideas that everyone else is sort of getting into and creating at the University of Colorado Boulder. The entrepreneurial spirit is there, and I just think it's super crazy to see, what people are coming up with. So
sounds like there's some great dynamics amongst the teams. That's great to hear. ToobTek.
Yeah, I'd say it's the ability to pitch consistently and really get feedback on everything that we're doing, as well as just connect with so many different mentors in so many different fields.
Always great to hear. All right, Orbital Biodesign. Oh, look, you're ready. Good to go, Danny.
So for me, I think going through each individual round and really learning from the judges themselves, in addition to the mentors, I got some really, really wonderful and useful feedback from the judges that I will carry with me for sure. Thank you.
Don't even have to call you. Go ahead, Braden.
There's so many things we've learned from NVC. It's really hard to pick one. I think the most important for us is really just taking the idea from in our head, just something we've thought about, and bring that and presenting it in front of people where we can bring people together and we really have an opportunity to make a difference.
Wonderful. All right, I think the judges are doing okay. So let's do one more. Let's do one more of these round robin type questions. Let's go with, what was the biggest lesson each of you learned from NVC? Anything specific to your company or big picture life lessons? Up to you. Let's go in the same order. So Sarus, you're up.
Yeah, so it will be the best business model. We weren't really sure how to do that, so we have to reach out to people from NVC to give us a guidance on how to come up with numbers for that. So we still have a lot to work with, but it's a progress.
Don't even have to call you guys. Go ahead, Thomas.
Yeah, this might be a little cliche, but I would say just get the ability of getting so many different perspectives from all these incredible people in the community. Yeah.
I'd say for us, it was taking this big technical idea that we've had in our head for a while and really learning how to make it something that people can understand that aren't in the scientific community that we exist in. That was really difficult for us, and it's been quite the learning process, but super helpful.
Yeah, I think for us, one of the major lessons was just the power of having this environment around us that fosters entrepreneurship and encourages that iteration to really help us get our pitch right and do as much iteration as possible.
I think the lesson I've learned has been to trust my own judgment a little bit more. I've had really resounding support. It's really kind of blown me away. So I will certainly carry that with me as well. Thank you.
For us at Hug Solutions, I'd say being adaptable is the biggest one. You know, we're doing our project around something that's constantly evolving. So there's that aspect, but there's also the aspect that there's a lot of technical challenges we're all facing in this. For me personally, I had a whole setup on my computer, and then right before this meeting, my internet just dropped out. So I had to switch to my phone. And a lot of things like that, that learning to be adaptable is a big thing we've learned.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's true for all of us in NVC, and we've all learned a lot through the course of the last year. So maybe let's keep with this format. You seem to know the order that you're in. So what was the silver lining of NVC being virtual this year?
I know. It was interesting.
Customer interviews, hands down, it was the ability to get in touch with somebody in Florida, New York City, and LA all in the same day, and learn from them. Yeah, because we're focused on big cities. That's where cranes have a hard time lifting things. And so that's been awesome.
Yeah, I would have to echo the previous team. Just the ability to speak with so many different mentors all in one day. Up until this point, we really hadn't had anyone like that giving us feedback. So it was just really awesome.
Yeah, I'd say learning to pitch without the stress of having to do it to a room chock full of people was, I think, something that was really helpful to me personally.
Yeah, I think being able to connect with so many different people that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to connect with, as well as having the opportunity and the ability to attend so many different sessions and workshops.
I think for me, it was getting to make it to, all of the events, essentially, like all of the kind of side lectures and tutorials and workshops and stuff. Even if I was traveling with military service or with, working hospital shifts and stuff, I could tune in, as I was able.
For us, I would say it was the preparation we can put behind the pitch.
If those answers told me anything, it's what a resilient group this is. Really impressed by all of you with your flexibility and adaptability. What was the biggest strength on your team that you discovered through participating in NVC this year?
I would say the cohesiveness of the team. We worked pretty well. We already knew that, but how we all came together and started working on the whole pitch, whole virtual dynamics that we were able to handle. So yeah.
Yeah, for our team, just to be adaptive and flexible, which was already said before, but the three of us are all in different parts of the US, and our schedules are often not aligning. So just coming together and making it happen.
I think for us, it was the ability to take the feedback that we would get at each round and throughout the process and sort of chew on it and take from it what we needed to and sort of use it to reformat how we thought about our own stuff, our own technology.
I think for us, just the balance that we've had between business and engineering, especially as mechanical engineers, and just having that ability to pick up and absorb business concepts and feedback from the people that we've talked to help strengthen our pitch.
think for me, it was having really great advisors, especially Dr. Pantalos and Dr. Hargens, who believe in me, but also tell me exactly what they think, and who also help to line up the validation studies that we've got coming up.
For us, it was absolutely the drive and commitment of our team. Our whole team has been incredible of working through the challenges we've had. We're all super busy seniors in mechanical engineering, so you can imagine there's a lot of other things going on. But we've all worked so hard on this project, and I couldn't be more proud of our team.
That is wonderful to hear. So let's maybe take a few steps back, and it'd be great to hear what the inspiration was for each of you. And some of you touched on this in your pitch, but to start your company around your particular idea that you're pursuing.
Definitely. For us, it's all about safety in construction. Fatalities in this industry have plateaued for the past 15 years, and we see that as a major problem. So we came at this problem with the goal of bringing more people home at the end of the day, and that's what drives us.
Yeah, for my team, it was definitely a bit of a stars aligning moment. We were all interested in TikTok and TikTok marketing, and it just so happened to be that when the coronavirus pandemic hit, we found all this found time, and then we just really kind of hit the ground running.
For us, it was both as synthetic biologists. Brian and I both sort of understood the power that this technology could bring to the world, and so that's really inspired us through the entire process.
For us, I began this project through the CU Summer Design Intensive last July, which is where I met Murphy, and he really just highlighted the need for better training and the need for something that we can create as engineers.
I think for me, so I guess I talked about it a little bit in the pitch in terms of having been in the operating room and thinking, my legs hurt, I'd like to solve this problem. But in terms of the spaceflight setting, I've grown up around flying, and I also grew up around surgery. I started scrubbing in when I was 12. So it's a very natural progression for both of those things.
For us, when we formed our team in around August, we were all focused on rural communities and problems that we know we can solve if we put our minds to it with some engineering principles. Around that time, the COVID vaccine was starting to come out, and it was pretty clear that the solution method they had for the general public was not at all going to work for the rest of the world, which is not a small amount of people. So we couldn't just sit back and do nothing. We had to take it head on and do our best to solve it.
Awesome. Well, I think you probably all saw the judges are jumping back in. So Brad, I assume you have some results for us. Take it away.
Thank you, Amy. Big ups to all who are out there tonight that joined this community. It's a special community. And as I said at the outset, I don't know if this is our best year yet, but this is the most important year in the NVC. Also, big thanks to our judges who clearly were prepared tonight. The preparation really came through. And most importantly, the teams. Man, this was a delight to see you guys creating new things where nothing exists. Also want to again thank our sponsors, across campus partners, mentors. And with that, no further ado, here we go. Starting with our Audience Choice Award. Audience Choice Award goes to Chembotics. Chembotics, congratulations on the Audience Choice Award. Now we're going to go into the championship team. So $1,000 goes out to Chembotics. Congratulations. Tied for 5th place, we've got 2 teams that will each take home $10,000 from tonight's championships. Please help me congratulate Orbital and LBGT50. Can those teams please come on? And Danny, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
What did the NVC experience mean for you this year?
This has just been a wonderful experience to learn from all these, really wise and very experienced people. So it's been wonderful. Thank you.
Danny, awesome to have you involved. Thank you. LBGT50, Same question to you guys. What this competition, being able to participate in this during the year, mean for you guys?
Oh yeah, this is really just an incredible honor. We all had a blast during the NVC, learned so much from the judges and mentors, and just want to say a quick thanks to the sponsors, judges, mentors, and everyone that makes NVC what it is. And just as a quick side note, we are looking to expand our team and would love to look within the Boulder community to onboard some people. So thank you so much.
ABC, always be closed, and I like it, Thomas. All right, congratulations to each of your teams. Now, our fourth place winner tonight at the championships, taking home $13,000 cash. Please help me congratulate Seedling. Seedling, come on board.
Awesome. Yeah, great to hear it. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure for us to participate, and that's good to hear.
Simon, most important thing that you guys got out of the NVC outside of the cash?
Oh man, I think just again, I think I said a little bit in those rapid fire rounds, but just learning how to take input from judges and all the way up through the rounds and say, all right, what do we need to do to focus ourselves better throughout the competition, and how can we make people better understand what we're doing? So super helpful the entire way.
Congratulations, Simon.
Thank you.
Our third place finisher, who will receive $16,000 in cash prizes. Please help me congratulate ToobTek. ToobTek, come on. Take the virtual bow. Catherine, Kaushik, congratulations, guys. Same question to you. Outside of the cash, most important thing you got out of the NVC, what has it been?
Yeah, I think for us, Brad, it's provided us a great platform just to get out there and tell people about our idea, especially as mechanical engineers, and build that business acumen and expertise. So we're really excited.
Catherine?
I would agree. I think that along with just all the mentorship that we got and all the guidance has really helped us take our idea to where it is, and I'm really happy with that.
Well, congratulations to each of you and the team. Good luck. I think that we're going to be hearing from you guys going forward. Way to go. All right. Finishing in second place in the NVC 14 championships, taking home $21,000 in cash prizes and a $25,000 investment offer. Please help me congratulate Sarus. Sarus, come on in. Hey! They bring in the flamingo. Way to go. Team. Outside the cash, what's been the most important thing of the NVC experience for you guys?
Thank you so much. This is really our jumping off point for a big acceleration phase in the summer. And without NVC, we could not be primed better for what we're about to do. So thank you for everyone who's involved.
Thank you.
Woo, woo. Good luck to you guys. Get forward. Way to go, Sarus. And NVC 14 champion, please help me give a warm congratulations to Hug Solutions. They'll take $30,000 cash and an investment offer for $25,000 more. Hug Solutions, big night for you guys. Come on board.
Oh man, I'm so speechless. It's crazy getting that far in the competition. I'll be quick. There's a lot of people that I need to say thanks to, because this was absolutely not me doing it. First and foremost, our team, which is Claire Meyer, Evan Kirk, Evans Glugland, and Hao Cheng Yu. We've all put in so much work over the semester. I couldn't be prouder. We've done a great job working through that. And then our advisors, Tim Roybal, Param Singh, Don Jansen, and Professor Ripple. We couldn't have done this without you. You've given us so much insight. I can't imagine going through this process without you. You've given us so much help. It's incredible. And then the last one, anyone from JSPH, if you're watching, thank you.
Braden, no one goes it alone in the world of startups and entrepreneurship, and you have done a lot of people right by acknowledging the folks who have contributed to making Hug Solutions what it is. And we're really looking forward to what you guys make it. $30,000 and $30,000 and a $25,000 investment offer. You're taking out up to $55,000 tonight. warm congratulations. As we wrap, I'm going to invite all the team participants tonight to come on. We'll have one big Zoom box as we say thank you to everybody, our sponsors, mentors, everyone joining from the community tonight, our judges, NVC 14 in the books. Congratulations, everybody. Way to go.
Yay.
So much.
Looking forward to seeing
everyone
in person next year. We're going to make this big. Enjoy, everybody. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Right.